He's working for Donald Trump. He's got him. That's the only explanation in the world. Joe Biden is working for the Trump campaign. I mean, I've been racking my brain. Why on earth would he say what he says? Why on earth would he do what he does? Joe Biden is so furious. He's so angry. He's still so livid that he is purposely trying to tank Kamala Harris's chances of becoming president of the United States of America. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. And man, I'm so excited. Here we have a great, I've been excited about today's show since yesterday. Ever since I heard Joe Biden calling Donald Trump supporters garbage, I've been so eager to get on the show today. And really, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it by now. If you haven't heard it by now, look, Joe Biden may have handed Trump a big assist with his garbage gaffe. That's from CNN. Now, that's the really interesting thing about this story, because CNN has dropped the "Kill Tony, Puerto Rico is garbage" narrative, and they've picked up the Joe Biden calling Donald Trump supporters narrative. And that's huge, because CNN is the mouthpiece of the Democrat Party, and they are the mouthpiece and the spokespeople and the media center for the Kamala Harris campaign, although maybe not anymore. Probably not after that town hall meeting where Anderson Cooper obliterated Kamala Harris. And now they are going whole hog on this Joe Biden story. They've basically forgotten all about Tony Hinchcliffe and the GOP rally in New York. And they are all on board with Joe Biden calling Donald Trump supporters garbage. Now, if you missed it, this happened last night. A couple of big things happened last night, as a matter of fact. First of all, Kamala Harris gave her big finale speech. Apparently, she's not speaking anymore. I don't know. Everyone kept saying this is her closing argument. Kamala Harris to give closing argument in ellipse right outside the White House, where Donald Trump gave his iconic speech where he said peacefully and patriotically, make your voices be heard. And that was on, of course, January 6th. So now Kamala Harris is going to redo the entire thing. She's having this big, massive speech. It was prime time. It was pretty much everywhere. It was almost 30 whole minutes, which I thought was hilarious. And it was really kind of ineffective and boring. It's the same stuff we've heard over and over and over again. But all of that got overshadowed because Joe Biden was in the White House at the same time she's giving a speech, and Joe Biden on a conference call with Voto Latino, which means Vote Latino, says this about Donald Trump supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
There you go. So Joe Biden, and this, of course, is in response to the Tony Hinchcliffe comments about Puerto Rico being a floating pile of garbage at Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. And I guess he was asked about it, or maybe he just started meandering around. You know, Joe Biden, he just gets one thought and it kind of leads to another one, and then he forgets that thought, so he's got to go somewhere else. And he wanted to, I guess he wanted to side with the Puerto Rican people. He said when he was back in Delaware, because, you know, he grew up as a Puerto Rican politically. When he was back in Delaware, he loved all the Puerto Rican people, and he took offense to what Kill Tony said about them.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Okay, so now what Joe Biden has done is he said that more than half of America, because I'm going to be honest with you, I believe that at least half. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for the popular vote to come in on November 5th or November 15th, probably. But more than half, I would think. But we'll just go with half. 50% of Americans in the United States, according to Joe Biden, are garbage. Donald Trump's supporters are garbage. That's exactly what he said. You can try to spin it as much as you want, and that's what CNN tried to do.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But basically, he's saying all of Donald Trump's supporters are garbage. That's the only garbage I see floating around out there. I don't look at Puerto Rico. That's not garbage. It's all the Trump supporters. And this, of course, just blew the lid off of Kamala Harris's night. This just made her head explode. She's got to be so just beside herself furious. I mean, I think it's hilarious, but Kamala Harris and her campaign, the rest of them have just got to be, because they loved this Kill Tony narrative. They glommed onto that Kill Tony joke about Puerto Rico being a floating pile of garbage. And at the Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden, they were going to ride that one all the way through Election Day. And they were going to rally. They're trying to tell everybody, man, all the Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania are now going to vote for Kamala Harris and deliver her the state. And Donald Trump's going to go down in flames, which I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think a joke about Puerto Rico by a comedian at a Trump rally is going to make everybody think all of a sudden that Kamala Harris is now an effective leader. I don't care what you say about me. You could say that I'm a bald, middle-aged, pale-faced weirdo from Canada, and I'm still going to vote for Donald Trump because, in fact, I already did. Oh, wait, because I vote early. And nothing you could say. Donald Trump himself could walk in here and slap me across the face and say, I don't respect you because you have no hair. I don't know what it is, but whatever comment he makes, it doesn't matter. He's still not changing my mind. He's a better leader than Kamala Harris. And that is something that the Democrats want you to try to forget about. Now, on CNN, they tried to spin this comment because that's what you look. You got to, if you're a Democrat and you're sitting there going, oh my God, why is Joe Biden talking? What did he say now? And you know, the big problem is they're all having flashbacks to Hillary Clinton in 2016 and the basket full of deplorables, because that was the beginning of the end of her career. When you couple that with James Comey and the emails and all that other stuff, Hillary Clinton was doing an event in 2016 during the presidential campaign, and she was talking about Donald Trump's supporters. And I guess, you know, thinking she was funny, or really just probably it was a momentary lapse of judgment when she let her true feelings about half of the country be known. She said this, of course, about Donald Trump supporters.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Yeah, the basket of deplorables. And man, that set off a whole new economy of merchandise that said proud deplorable. That was the big thing. Proud deplorable. I'm a deplorable. Hillary Clinton's basket full of deplorables. The memes were all hey, jump in the basket. Let's go. We're going to go win deplorable style. That was what happened back then. And of course, we know the outcome in 2016. Hillary Clinton lost. So whenever the Democrats hear or say something that reminds them of Hillary Clinton in 2016, they start to get jittery, because nobody wants their campaign to end the way Hillary Clinton's campaign ended in 2016. And that remark she made was a big reason why it did end that way.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Yeah. And now Joe Biden's out there calling them all garbage. It's basically the exact same thing. It's almost worse.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And actually, Donald Trump mentioned this because now, all right, we'll get to the CNN spin in a minute. Here's where it gets really interesting. Kamala Harris, this is what happened last night. It's like a random Tuesday night, right? It's 1 week from election night. It's a random Tuesday night. Everybody, I guess, is like, we got 7 days left. Here's what we're going to be doing. We got 7 days left. It's all hands on deck. We got 7 days left. We'll sleep when we're dead. There's nobody not working until November 6th. Everybody get out there. So Kamala Harris has her big, massive rally on the lips with 50,000 people that were bussed in from somewhere. And luckily for them, they hid the buses this time. Joe Biden's in the Oval Office, and he's doing a conference call with Voto Latino, where he's calling Trump supporters garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Donald Trump is on stage at a rally in Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania, very important state, and he's in Allentown, and there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Allentown that I guess he's got to go and talk to. And the Puerto Ricans in Allentown, they all show up and they're like, hey, what's up, Voto Trumpo? So that was what was going on. But Marco Rubio from Florida, senator, he's there with Donald Trump, and it's amazing. He gets like the transcript hot off the presses, right? Somebody hands it to him and goes, Marco, go up on stage and tell Trump what Joe Biden just said. So Marco Rubio's got the transcript in his hot little hands, and he runs up on stage, and Donald Trump is like, come on up here, Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio like shows him the transcript, and I guess asks permission to read the comment aloud. And Donald Trump's like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I mean, it all unfolded right in front of our eyes. Look at this.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage.
Boo, garbage. Marco Rubio, breaking news. He runs up on stage. I'm sorry, I have breaking news, Mr. President. This just in. Joe Biden has told everybody that our supporters are garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah, but that wasn't all. He also had a I guess it seemed like a well-prepared and rehearsed statement, but I guess it was off the cuff. Listen to this.
He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
Yay! Yay, Marco Rubio. Look at that. Wow. And then Donald Trump gets up. Now, Donald Trump got up on stage after. I mean, he was on stage already, but Marco Rubio goes and he sits down. And Donald Trump's like, whoa, that's crazy. That's great. Is that really what he said? And listen to Donald Trump's response.
So we're thrilled to be joined by some incredible people. I already mentioned.
Wait, that's not it. Hold on, I got it right. I had it right here somewhere. Donald Trump came up with his response to what. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on? Donald Trump came up with his I don't know what's going on. Donald Trump came up with his response to what Joe Biden said, and he was like, "That's just horrible. That's just awful. How could that be?" And he said something that I wanted to share with you. And of course, I have no idea where it went. And that is that Donald Trump wants you to pray for Joe Biden. Donald Trump said, here's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we are praying for Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, he does not know that which he does. He does not know basically where he is at any given time. He does not know what's happening at any given time. He doesn't know what he's saying at any given time. And so I want you to know that first of all, you are not what Joe Biden says you are. And second of all, you need to make sure that you're praying for that guy. I think it's here.
Wow.
There it is.
That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable, and then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable, that didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
Yeah. And that's really the question. That's really the question. And that's my question today. Did Joe Biden know what he was doing? Did Joe Biden know what he was saying? Did Joe Biden say, you know what? Kamala's outside and she's speaking in my backyard to a group of 50,000 people that she bust in. Donald Trump's out in Pennsylvania. These people they don't want me on they're making fun of me left, right, and center. Kamala doesn't have my back. They don't invite me out. She's always bringing in Michelle Obama, and she's bringing in Barack Obama. She's bringing in Beyonce. She never asks me one time to come on stage with her or support her after I was the first. Really, I'm the reason that she's running, because Barack Obama didn't want her. We all know that for a fact. We all know what the take from Barack Obama was. We read about it in the New York Post. And Joe Biden, he's beside himself. So he goes on and he says something that I feel Joe Biden knew would cause a stir. I feel Joe Biden knew a week out from the election that this was going to have the effect it had. Look, Joe Biden, he's old. He's weird. He's feeble. He's kind of bizarre. He's a horrible leader. He can barely speak, and he doesn't know where he is at any given time. But politically, he's pretty savvy. You don't get to be president of the United States without 40 years of political experience. And he's been in Washington, and he's played the game, and he's done some things that a lot of people believe help propel him to where he is. And I think Joe Biden knows not just how to propel himself to a higher office, but also how to hobble and take out his political enemies right at the knees. And he does it, so innocently, in a way that, you'd never no, it's just Joe being Joe. But really what it is it is a premeditated attack to try to keep Kamala Harris from becoming president of the United States. Why? Because that's Joe's the president of the United States, and Joe Biden was supposed to be president of the United States. And they went in there, Barack went in there, and Nancy Pelosi went in, they all went in there, and they decided that Joe Biden was too feeble and too old and too weird and too stupid to run. So what they decided was Kamala Harris was going to take his spot, and he's mad. He's upset. He's not even happy about it. And on CNN, they're out there trying to spin for him, and they're doing it in the weirdest, worst, most ridiculous way I've heard a lot of spin in my life, man. There's a lot of, I've heard a lot of spin from a lot of different people, especially with Joe Biden as president for 4 years. But this has got to take the cake. I don't understand how you go on network television and you say this kind of thing and you pretend like you're being a serious journalist, a serious reporter. You pretend like this is what you actually believe. Listen to this CNN panel talk about, I don't know who this guy is, but he's out there and he is trying to spin for Joe Biden and he is trying to make Joe Biden look innocent. And he's trying to say, no. When Joe Biden called everybody garbage, he didn't mean they were actually garbage.
There are places that he could be useful, but he's not everywhere, like you might expect a sitting president to be for his vice president.
I don't know that I would expect this president to be everywhere in this moment. I mean, look, a critical element, any coach will tell you, any CEO will tell you, a critical element of running a team and winning is assessing the strengths and weaknesses of your team members and making sure you allocate them in the right way. Joe Biden has never been a big arena speaker. He's never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there. He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves.
Okay. So what CNN spin is, oh, there's an apostrophe there. This guy, I forget, is it Franklin something? This guy wants you to know that he can hear an apostrophe. He's like, oh, wait, no, I heard there's an apostrophe there. You guys are not listening properly. Joe, there's an apostrophe there. He's not saying supporters are trash. He's saying supporters apostrophe S trash because that's what he can hear.
He's best getting ice cream in Maryland.
Oh, hold on. We'll
The
get
only
to that.
garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Okay, now that's not something you would say if it was an apostrophe. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. If it were an apostrophe and he was talking about the garbage that his supporters were spewing, which I guess is what this guy from CNN was trying to say, then it would be the only garbage I hear out there, right? I mean, then that you would hear that kind of thing.
There are places that he could be useful, but he's not everywhere, like you might expect a sitting president to be for his vice president.
I don't know that I would expect this president to be everywhere in this moment. I mean, look, a critical element, any coach will tell you, any CEO will tell you, a critical element of running a team and winning is assessing the strengths and weaknesses of your team members and making sure you allocate them in the right way. Joe Biden has never been a big arena speaker. He's never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there. He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves.
Yeah, but if you're spewing garbage, you're hearing it, not seeing it, and that's not what Joe Biden said.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
So that just blows a hole. I mean, look, I don't know what an apostrophe sounds like, but I know what BS sounds like, and I'm hearing a lot of it. I wonder, what are the other punctuation marks? What does a colon sound like? I know what my colon sounds like, especially after, like, you know, taco night or never mind. I don't want to know what a colon. I take that back. I have no desire to know what Joe Biden's colon sounds like, but I doubt that there is an apostrophe there. But the really interesting thing is what came after that, where they say, look, Joe Biden, he's not a big arena speaker. That's why they're not putting him in big arenas. He's not an Obama or a Beyonce or a Bruce Springsteen. That's why they're keeping him at bay. They're putting their superstars, the superstars of the Democrat Party. They get to go and campaign for Kamala. They get to go and stand on stage in front of thousands of people. Joe Biden, you know where he's best? Joe Biden's best at the ice cream shop.
He's best getting ice cream in Maryland like he was today. He's best showing moments of empathy in Arizona like he was last week. He's best with union folks as he was in Pittsburgh last week as well. You use people where they are best. You put Obama in a big arena, you put Michelle in a big arena, and you put Joe Biden in front of a bunch of union people doing retail politics.
Listen to what they're saying here, okay? This is Joe Biden, the current president of the United States. And as the current president of the United States, Joe Biden is the leader of the Democrat Party. And they're trying to say, where do we best use the leader of the Democrat Party? Where is he most useful? He's most useful eating ice cream in Maryland.
He's best getting ice cream in Maryland.
That's what we need Joe Biden for. Hey, we're having a big rally with 50,000 people outside the White House. Do we put Joe on stage? No! Send him to Jenny's Ice Cream in Maryland. Let him do, that's his thing. He's best getting ice cream in Maryland.
He's best getting ice cream in Maryland.
That's the commander-in-chief of the United States. That's the most powerful man in the world at the moment. He's not good on stage. He's not good campaigning. He's not good talking to people. He's really good at getting ice cream in Maryland. Why in Maryland, by the way? Do they have like better ice cream? Is it like Old Bay ice cream? Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I would eat up some Old Bay ice cream. Old Bay potato chips. You can throw Old Bay on anything. And I'd really enjoy it. But that's their opinion of Joe Biden on CNN. Scott Jennings, of course, the resident conservative, doesn't buy any of that. And he believes that what Joe Biden is doing and what Joe Biden is saying is just reiterating what everybody else already believes. We know that they believe Republicans are Nazis, deplorables, bitter clingers. We know that they believe that we are low IQ. They know, well, except for J.D. Vance, who went to Yale, which apparently that's a bad thing. They know that they think that we're in fact, there's a great clip here from CBS this morning. They sent Tim Walz out. They said, I don't know why they think Tampon Tim's going to clean everything up. They're like, all right, Tampon Tim, we got a mess. You got to go clean it up. And so, oh, now I get it. Oh, that makes perfect sense. So Tampon Tim's out on CBS. Listen to the litany of negative names that this host brings up, and these are all things that Democrats have called Republicans over the years.
I want to put it into a larger context of your recent comment comparing the Sunday Trump rally to a Nazi rally. And I would also throw in there Obama's bitter clingers, guns and religion comment from a while back, the deplorable line from Hillary Clinton's campaign, and the way that Democrats are seen by some voters as disrespecting them. And I have to ask, does that undercut this closing message of unity from your campaign?
No, certainly not.
No, certainly not. That doesn't undercut unity. Yes, I said that they were at a Nazi rally on Saturday. Yes, Barack Obama has called them bitter clingers, clinging to their guns and Bibles. Yes, Hillary Clinton called them deplorables. And yes, now Joe Biden is calling them garbage. But that certainly does not undercut the unity that we're out there selling. We're very unified. We're very unified in our disgust for Donald Trump and his supporters. We are very unified in our total disgust for anyone who votes Republican. We are totally unified in our degradation of half of this society who doesn't support us, who doesn't like us, who doesn't believe the weird, bizarre and atrocities that we've created and tried to push off as political policy. But we're unified in that. Look, if you like us, if you're for us, if you think that men can have babies, and if you think that the world's coming to an end because of climate change, and if you think that an open border is a good thing, and if you think that inflation is caused by price gouging, then there's room for you, and we agree with you, and we're unified. But if you think the border needs to be closed, and illegal criminals need to be deported and sent back from whence they came, if you believe that we need tariffs so that we have an equal partnership with our trade partners around the globe, if you believe that taxes should be lower, gas prices should be lower, if you believe that we should drill, baby drill, if you believe that we need the biggest, best, strongest military because peace through strength is the way to go, and if you believe that we should stop sending all of our cash, all of our money, all of our assets, all of our resources to Ukraine and other parts of the world where we really have no business supporting what's going on in other parts of the world, then you're garbage. And we have no need. You're just garbage. You're deplorable. You're a bitter clinger. You're a Nazi. That's what the Democrat Party thinks of Republicans, of Donald Trump, and of his supporters. And we know it because they keep saying it.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
So Scott Jennings on CNN says, look, you can try to spin this any way you want. You can try to say that that was supposed to be an apostrophe. But the fact of the matter is we know exactly what the Democrats think.
Why is he sitting in front of a laptop at the exact same moment Kamala Harris is out on his backyard trying to give the closing argument to her campaign?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Why is Joe Biden sitting on a laptop? He's not. This is happening. This whole speech that she's giving this big beautiful speech. They've got all these camera angles. They're trying to make it look very theatrical. They bust in all these people. They've got the White House in the background. It's all lit up. There's American flags, which they found somewhere. And she's out there, man, and she's on every network, and she's all over the internet, and she's screaming and yelling her typical, garbage. And all of us, and Joe Biden's in the House. They wouldn't let him come out. They wouldn't let him come out and watch the show. Joe Biden's inside. He's sitting at a computer. He's on a Voto Latino conference call, which they couldn't reschedule for some reason. And he's calling Trump supporters garbage. Meanwhile, the biggest event of Kamala Harris's campaign is going on outside. The largest crowd right there in Washington, D.C. on the ellipse. Look, here it is. There it is. And she's got all these people there, and there's cranes in the Washington Monument. And she's on stage, and she's flanked by the Stars and Stripes. And they're trying to make her look presidential. They've got her standing there with the podium, the White House rotunda in the background. This is setting the stage for what they believe is her final plea to Americans. Make me president of the United States. And Joe Biden wasn't invited? Joe Biden, she's standing in his backyard. She's having a party in his backyard, and she said, old man, stay in the house. How disrespectful is that? The man's the president of the United States. You're at his home. You're at his home. You're having a rally. You don't even have the wherewithal, or you don't even have the foresight. You don't even have the class and the dignity to invite the man out. You tell him to go inside and sit down and talk to the Latinos and tell them, hey, get the Latinos to vote for us. And if you need to call all of Donald Trump's supporters garbage, basura, go ahead and do it. And so that's what he does. And Joe Biden 100% is angry. He's furious. He's so mad. And Scott Jennings is like, look, it's ridiculous. We need to ask ourselves, why are they hiding him in the White House when she's right out front?
I actually do believe Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said people who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
It's not true. We've already litigated it in Kamala's speech tonight.
But as a tactical matter today,
no, but you don't just get to say
why in the world is Joe Biden giving remarks at the same time as Kamala Harris?
I'll give you that.
I don't know how they're arguing with him. I don't know how we just heard the whole litany of things that the CBS guy said to Tim Walz. Tim Walz said there's a Nazi rally going on at Madison Square Garden. They said Donald Trump is reenacting a Nazi rally. Anyone who was there obviously wanted to take part in the reenactment of a Nazi party. That's what they claimed. That's what they've been claiming all weekend. After the Kill Tony Puerto Rico joke, it was racists and just the worst people ever. Religious fundamental. These people are crazy. And then it was the deplorables, and then, of course, it was the bitter clingers, and now it's garbage. It always comes down to name calling. And the irony is that they're the party of unity. This is the party of unity. This is what they claim. They claim that they're the uniters, that they're bringing everybody together. And they're doing the exact opposite. Donald Trump wrote about it on his Truth Social account. Well, I am running a campaign of positive solutions to save America. Kamala Harris is running a campaign of hate. She has spent all week comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. Now, on top of everything, Joe Biden calls our supporters garbage. You can't lead America if you don't love the American people. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have shown they are both unfit to be president of the United States. I am proud to lead the biggest, broadest, and most important political coalition in American history. We are welcoming historic numbers of Latinos, African Americans, Asian Americans, and citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. It is my desire to be the president of all the people. You have not one time, you cannot pinpoint one time in Donald Trump's presidency, in his campaign, in his earlier campaigns, probably in his life, there's not one time where you hear Donald Trump say anything negative about a fellow American, a fellow voter, a fellow citizen. When Donald Trump was president, he didn't say, all right, now I'm going to be president for all the red state rednecks who go to church every Sunday and shoot their guns every Saturday and listen to country music and my buddy Lee Greenwood and love Hulk Hogan. I'm going to be president for them. And the rest of y'all, you're on your own. You're all going to jail. No. That didn't happen. Donald Trump was president to everybody. Donald Trump came in and he made sure that everybody got a tax cut. He made sure that everybody had lower prices. He made sure that the gas was affordable for everybody. He made sure that crime was down in the inner cities, which was affecting in greater proportion black voters and black Americans. He gave more money and he made sure, ensured for a decade, that there would be more money given to historically black colleges and universities. He worked with, get this, Kim Kardashian to get a black woman who was charged with an overbearing charge for drug possession out of jail. Donald Trump never once said anybody who voted for Joe Biden was a weirdo, blue state, transgender whack job. He never said any of those. At least he never said it publicly. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the rest of them, they are publicly decrying half of the country. Yes, Donald Trump said these people coming in illegally are rapists and murderers and drug traffickers and coyotes and human traffickers and gang members and murderers, but they're not American citizens. They're not American voters. If you're an American, Donald Trump is going to make sure that he's the president for all of you. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, Kamala Harris thinks you're garbage and a Nazi. And probably, let's be honest, because we know what happened after January 6th, probably will go after you with whatever law enforcement she has at her disposal. Do you remember when Joe Biden went after the Border Patrol because they claimed they were whipping illegal immigrants coming across the border when they were simply riding their horses? That's the two different sides of this country. Those are the two different candidates. Those are the two different political parties. One who loves every American and one who loves every American who votes for them. And the rest of them, they're just trash.
The only garbage I see floating out there is just supporters.
Sorry, they're just garbage. By the way, I did come up with a fantastic new Halloween costume. I don't know if you saw this on my X feed, but if you are looking for a last minute costume, all you need is a hefty bag. I got the big black one, but you could use a white one. You could use the scented one. You could use a green one, whatever. Put it on, throw on your MAGA hat, bada bing, bada boom. There you are. Trump supporter wrapped in a garb. I've also seen a lot of people, they're getting all the trash cans from around their homes and they are, they're lining them up and they're saying, here's me and my family going to vote for Donald Trump. Somebody else came up with a great suggestion, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but somebody else said, how long until Donald Trump rides around on the back of a garbage truck and just solidifies this election once and for all? Is Donald Trump going to do a garbage route and start dumping trash in the trash truck just like he went and worked at McDonald's? I don't know if anyone's planning that. I personally think it would be fantastic, but also totally unnecessary because at this point in the game, there's nothing in my mind that's going to get me to believe that anybody but Donald Trump is going to win this election, because I've seen the polls, I've seen the betting averages, I've seen what's going on with the early voting numbers, I've seen what's going on with the Republican registration numbers. I've seen too much and heard too much and witnessed too much to think that anything legitimate would keep Donald Trump from being president. I mean, hell, you've got Joe Biden out there campaigning for him. Joe he's wearing the Donald Trump hat when he goes to the VA. He's out there calling Trump supporters garbage, and he's out there in Maryland eating ice cream, which apparently is what he's really good at. And as a Trump supporter, I can attest to the fact that I don't know that that's going to sway many votes in Kamala Harris's favor. Now, you might be wondering, what does Kamala Harris say all about all this? Well, she says basically nothing. I mean, it's Kamala Harris. When has Kamala Harris ever said anything about anything? And what Kamala Harris, she was asked about Joe Biden. She was at the airport, and I guess they asked her about this thing, and she offered no apology. She offered no comment. Listen to what she actually said.
Do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today to do what I have been doing throughout, which is talking with the American people about the fact that, first of all, I get it in terms of the concerns they have about challenges like the price of groceries.
Okay, so she's asked, do you have any sympathy for any voters who may have been or who may have thought that this comment was offensive to them? Do you have any sympathy for any of those people? And Kamala Harris's answer is, I'm going to 3 states today to do what I do. I'm going to 3 states today to campaign for president. I'm going to 3 states today to yada, yada, yada. That's what Kamala Harris is saying. That's her answer. Her answer is basically a non-answer. Her answer is basically, I'm going to 3 states today and I'm ignoring your question. You know what? It wouldn't have shocked me if the guy asked her, hey, do you have any sympathy for these people? And she had said, you know what? I grew up in a middle class household and my mother wasn't able to buy her first home until we were teenagers. That wouldn't have shocked me at all. Someone else said, hey, have you talked to Joe Biden? Listen, this is surprising to me.
Spoken to him about his comments and his intentions? He did call me last night, but this didn't come up.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Well, hold on. Let me play that again.
Spoken to him about his comments and his intentions? He did call me last night, but this didn't come up.
This didn't come up? Wait, Joe Biden called you last night and this didn't come up? Joe Biden called you after your big speech, after he went on, after he said, hey, Trump supporters are all garbage. After all that, you got a phone call from Joe Biden and you expect us to believe that this didn't come up? He didn't call you to say, hey, I said something again. He might hear about it. I mean, Donald Trump found out the minute this happened. Donald Trump found out while he was on stage, which, by the way, was after Kamala Harris left the stage. Kamala Harris took the stage about 45? She was off by 8:10, 8:15. She did less than 30 minutes. Donald Trump was on stage in Pennsylvania after that. He got Marco Rubio ran out with the breaking news. Marco Rubio was like, look what I just got.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage.
Of course she knew about it. Of course they talked about it. He called her. She called him. She probably yelled at him. He probably said, look, I'm still the president of the United States. And so she's got to go out there and lie and say, we spoke on the phone yesterday, but we didn't talk about it. And why does she say that? Why is she not angry? Why is she not on the tarmac yelling and screaming and denouncing? Why is she not distancing herself from this Joe Biden gaffe or this Joe Biden comment? The reason she's not doing it is because she doesn't want to make him angrier. She doesn't want anyone to know that she's angry with Joe Biden. She doesn't want anybody to know that Joe Biden is out there. I mean, she doesn't want to tick him off anymore, because if Joe Biden goes along and continues to say these things, then, and think about all the damage that he could do for her campaign. Think about every negative thing that he could say. If she ticks him off, if she makes him mad, if she tries to pull rank on him, which she doesn't have any rank on him, then he's still got 7 days. He's still the president of the United States. He's still got a major platform. He could still go out there and do more damage. And he will, because really, what does Joe Biden have to lose? Joe Biden has literally nothing left to lose. He is done. He's just counting the days until somebody takes the oath of office and kicks him out of his home. The New York Times is trying to run cover for Joe Biden. Biden appears to insult Trump supporters as garbage, but quickly tries to clarify. In a posting on social media, President said he was talking about racist language, not Trump supporters. President Biden on Tuesday denounced racist language at former President Donald J. Trump's recent rally, but appeared to insult Trump supporters as garbage, prompting waves of criticism from Republicans. The White House quickly objected to that interpretation of the president's remarks, arguing that he was instead describing the racist language as garbage, not Trump supporters. The comments came as Mr. Biden was addressing Latino supporters by video. There you go, on and on, and then they just talk about the comments. Let's look at this one. The Kamala Harris, apparently, according to Mediaite, goes Sister Soldier on Biden's garbage comment. It may save her campaign. In the dying days of this high-stakes race for the White House, Vice President Kamala Harris was presented with a unique opportunity to turn a potentially devastating vulnerability into a winning message by rebuking President Joe Biden's garbage gaffe in the same way Bill Clinton condemned 90s rapper Sister Soldier. Thursday night, while the Democrat presidential candidate was giving her closing argument to tens of thousands of supporters at the White House, drawing a contrast with Trump, who a few years ago spoke there ahead of the Capitol riot, Biden demonstrated precisely why he was deemed totally unfit to run for re-election. Yada, 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 yada. Regardless of intent, blah, 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 Harris addressed the comments Wednesday morning during a gaggle with reporters on an airport tarmac. While her rebuke was kindly nuanced, her message that she strongly disagreed with Biden's comment was a stunning rebuke of the man she wants to follow in the White House. Harris was asked if she had talked to President Biden since this comment. She said he clarified his comments, then she drew distance from the president. Let me be clear. Here this is.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I believe you can. Hold on, let me pull it up right here because I can't. Only you can hear it. Fun fact when we do that. But she drew distance from Joe Biden, and she was like, look, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I do not condone Joe Biden's remarks, but there's nothing I can do about it because the guy's the president. The guys, here it is. Here it is one more time. Let me play it for you on the big screen so you can see it and we can all listen in together.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear. I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. You heard my speech last night and continuously throughout my career. I believe that the work that I do is about representing all the people, whether they support me or not. And as President of the United States, I will be a president for all Americans, whether you vote for me or not. That is my responsibility, and that's the kind of work that I've done my entire career, and I take it very seriously. Have you spoken to him about?
Okay, there you go. So Kamala Harris, she wants to support. Listen. She wants this so bad. She does not. She's so apoplectic with Joe Biden, but she wants this so bad that she's willing to get up there. And she's going to stand in front of these reporters and she's going to look them right in the eye. And she's going to say, you know what? I want to be a president for all. I want to be a president for every American. I want to be a president for the Democrats and the Republicans. I want to be a president for people who think abortion's their God-given right and also people who are Nazis. That's what she's saying. She's like, I want to be president so bad that I will be a president to all y'all Nazis. And I don't care what Joe Biden says. I don't condone it and I don't agree with it. And it's not the kind of distraction that she needs in this late in her campaign. Plus, it took all the wind out of their Kill Tony sales. And that's really the big problem. And that's really why she's so upset, because she wanted to go out there and make a big speech, and she wanted to talk about immigration, and she wanted to talk about abortion, and she wanted to talk about what she was going to do as president, and she wanted it to be the soundbite that everyone was going to play this morning.
Subject. Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. And instead treat it as the serious challenge that it is, that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed. When I was Attorney General of a border state, I saw the chaos and violence caused by transnational criminal organizations that I took on. And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully, prosecute the cartels, and give Border Patrol the support they so desperately need.
Now, not only is none of that true, not only is that a big, pile of BS, not only is that just a lie, I mean, it's one that we've heard all before. Sure, maybe she took on the cartels, but she hasn't in the last 3.5 years. They haven't prosecuted anybody in the last 3.5 years. They brought them into the country. They've released them into the country. A lot of the times they went down to south of the border and these other countries, and they loaded up planes and they just flew these people directly into the country so that they couldn't be accused of crossing the border illegally. They didn't cross the border illegally. They got on a plane in their country, and when the plane landed, they were in Aurora, Colorado. They were in Springfield, Ohio. They were in Florida, and then they were promptly put on another plane and sent to Martha's Vineyard, courtesy of Governor Ron DeSantis. But that's neither here nor there. Not only was that a lie, but that's what she wanted the headlines this morning to be. And if you go anywhere online, the headline is not Kamala Harris's final plea for Americans to vote for her to be president of the United States. It's not Kamala Harris makes concerted argument or convincing argument to be the next commander-in-chief. That's not the headline anywhere. The headline is Joe Biden tanks Kamala Harris's campaign at the 9th hour. Joe Biden calls everybody on the right garbage. And that is something that's a wasted opportunity for Kamala Harris. And it's why the Democrats are so angry. And it's why I say again, I 100% believe this was a premeditated hit job by Joe Biden, who's angry. He's doing everything. All he has left, the only thing he has left is the bully pulpit. The only thing he has left is his reputation as a gaffe master. And what they thought was a liability to their campaign, they're now realizing is 1,000% more a liability, seeing as how Joe Biden is no longer on their side. You've got the leader of your party. Think about that. The Democrat president of the United States is the leader of the Democrat Party. And the leader of your party is now actively working against your candidate for president because he doesn't like that you shoved him out and said he's too old for the job. It's really fascinating to watch. I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. Nobody really has. We've never had a situation like this in our lifetimes where a party basically, as we said before, they have a coup against one of their own. Oh, by the way, it's called the Kamala coup because she didn't get any votes. She never was on a ballot for any primary. She was just kind of decided to be the nominee once Joe Biden was shoved out. And at the DNC, they got all the delegates to throw their votes her way. But I heard some guy on CNN call it the Democrat switch. The Democrat switch, which sounds like a Disney movie starring Lindsay Lohan. But it's not the Kamala coup. It's the Democrat switch. When the Democrats made the switch, they all of a sudden realized our current candidate is just as dumb as our old one. and the old one was pretty dumb.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah. Listen, I do want to remind you, by the way, first of all, if you like this show, then I would love for you to hit the subscribe button wherever you are. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook or Rumble, please subscribe because we are looking to grow. Look, the hard work begins after Election Day. We don't know what's going to happen with the House of Representatives. We don't know what's going to happen with the Senate. We do know this, that all of these people that are working diligently to hinder Donald Trump from getting back to the White House, who are trying to stop his agenda in its tracks, all of these people who are like, Donald Trump closing the border and drilling for oil, that's the worst thing ever. They're not going to just throw up their hands and go, well, we lost. America's going to be great again. Nothing we can do about it. No, they're going to be working on the inside. Keep in mind, there's still going to be tons of Democrats in the Senate. There's going to be tons of Democrats in the House of Representatives. We can't allow there to be a majority of Democrats in the House of Representatives because that would mean that Donald Trump would be impeached on day one. They will 100% do it. Donald Trump has been impeached twice. If the Republicans gain control of the House of Representatives, he will be impeached a third time, maybe even a fourth, because they're not going to stop. They're going to come up with anything they can. They're going to come up with any ridiculousness that they can, and they're going to impeach him. The Senate, hopefully, I would imagine, is not going to convict like they didn't last time because it will probably most likely be in Republican control. At least it definitely will if Donald Trump wins and nothing else happens because we'll have that one tie-breaking vote in J.D. Vance. But it is going to be a wild ride again for 4 years. Every Democrat is going to try to stop Donald Trump, no matter what he tries to do. And so the battle just begins on November 5th. Donald Trump laid out this amazing agenda, this amazing promise that he's going to fulfill to Americans. But he's also got these clowns on the other side that are going to be working against him every single day. So that's when the battle really begins. And that's why you need to stay subscribed, because we're going to be bringing you information every day. We're going to be bringing you the enlightenment and the inspiration you need every day. Sometimes when you're like, man, God, it's just too much. I can't go on. Why are there so many forces of evil in this country? How do we battle back against them? How do we get rid of them once and for all? That's why we're here. We're here to let you know, to bring you the content, to share with you the news, to tell you the good stuff that's going on in the world, and help you kind of, feel better about the bad stuff and know that it's not all bad. And the best way to do it, like I said, is to subscribe to this channel. Enjoy our content. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you're subscribed to whatever podcast platform is your favorite, because like I said, we're going to keep bringing you those as well. Now we don't just create all this fantastic content on the internet. I mean, it's really great, but we also do some live events too. And next week, look at this, for election night, we have an election night watch party, Tuesday, November the 5th at a place called Sneakers Sports Grill at 111 Beach Boulevard. We're going to have the live stream up on all the big screens. We're going to have some drink specials from Tito's, which is going to be fantastic. There's all this great stuff going on. And not only is it going to be a live party, but it's a watch party that will be live streamed. So a lot of folks are like, look, I can't go, but I want to know where to watch. Well, if you're watching right now on Rumble or YouTube or Facebook or X, don't worry. Just tune in at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night, and we will start bringing you our watch party live. If you are, if you're one of those people that is like, oh, great, I just set a reminder. We'll have reminders for you over and over again. But if you're here now, you'll be able to watch us as we watch these results come in. And again, I'm hoping, like the rest of us, that we know I don't like these long waits. I'm not a very patient person. I'm what you call ridiculously impatient. And so I want to know, if it's an election night watch party and I'm watching, I want to know that the person that I voted for, the person that I support, or the person that I feel should be president of the United States is going to win that night. And I don't want to have to wait 4 days or 5 days or 10 to 13 days as Maricopa County, Arizona is trying to tell me that I want to wait. But if you look at what's happening across the country, if you look at some of the polls, and let me pull this up real quick. If you look at some of the polls and some of the numbers that are coming in and what people are saying, not just from the polls, but when you look at some of the, I guess you would say the exit polling, or when you look at the early voting, when you look at all this other great stuff that's going on, you also have to realize that there is a fantastic movement in all these different places toward Donald Trump. And it's not just, places like New Hampshire, for example, where we believe Donald Trump could pull out a victory. It's not just places like Virginia, where Donald Trump's going to go this weekend to rally, where we think that Donald Trump could potentially bring home a victory. It's not just places like that. It's places like, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. It's now places like New Jersey, where the New Jersey early voting favors Republicans. This is something I can't even imagine. Republican early votes now favor Democrat votes. They exceed Democrat votes by 144,644 to 139,999. Now, this is craziness. New Jersey is about it's about one of the bluest states that you could ever find. And here you can see the GOP early voting 144,000. It's about 5,000 more votes in New Jersey. And New Jersey, look, New Jersey ain't nothing to scoff at. New Jersey is a very populated state. That is 14 electoral votes. So if you flip New Jersey red, I mean, come on, you're looking at New Hampshire, New Jersey, Virginia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. If all of those stay red and you throw New Jersey on there, it's 342 votes. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if Republicans are turning out early for Donald Trump, and we know that Republicans turn out on Election Day in mass numbers, I mean, New Jersey could be heading red. It's really, this is one of the most remarkable elections you're ever going to see. And I believe that think about this. If you get a New Jersey to turn red, it doesn't matter if Pennsylvania's votes aren't in. It doesn't matter if Michigan's votes aren't in. It doesn't matter if Georgia's votes aren't in. It really doesn't even matter if Arizona's votes are in, because New Jersey puts Donald Trump over the top, especially with New Hampshire and Virginia. I mean, there are so many ways that Donald Trump has a path to victory in this election, and so few ways that Kamala Harris has a path to victory in this election, especially when the leader of her party starts going out there and insulting everybody else on the other side of the aisle. It's really a remarkable thing. And now in what is 6 days, we're going to hopefully find out live who the next president of the United States is. We're also, like I said, going to know about the Senate, and we're also going to know about the House of Representatives. Now, there's something else going on in the Senate, which is a battle brewing over the new majority leader. We're pretty clear. We know pretty clearly that there is going to be a Republican Senate. It would be it would be totally shocking if there's not. But one of the interesting things is the battle for who's going to be the majority leader. And there is now a three-way battle brewing between John Cornyn, John Thune, and Rick Scott. And Rick Scott is the only one of the three who is not a Mitch McConnell acolyte. Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, right here, and our current senator, really, I mean, one of the greatest leaders this state has had. He and Ron DeSantis probably tied for the top governors that we've had, and as a senator, he's done a great job. And most importantly, he is the polar opposite of Mitch McConnell. He is split from Mitch McConnell on so many different areas. He was the leader of the Senate committee to reelect or to elect Republicans, and he was in charge of that kind of movement. He butted heads with Mitch McConnell, who kept giving money to Republicans that were... This was the thing about Mitch McConnell. He held the purse strings. So he would only give money to Republicans who were loyal to him, even if that meant that Republicans who were better for Donald Trump or more likely to win or more likely to support Donald Trump's agenda would lose, because Mitch McConnell's not in it for anyone other than Mitch McConnell. And now he's out. He's already said, I'm stepping down. I'm not going to be the leader. So you've got John Cornyn, John Thune, and Rick Scott. And Rick Scott, in my humble opinion, has to be the guy. Rick Scott, in my humble opinion, has to be, of the three of them, the one who takes the reins. Otherwise, Donald Trump's going to run into some... He's going to run into some issues. He's going to butt heads with a couple of those other people in the Senate over the next 4 years. Rick Scott and Donald Trump are in alignment on their agenda. And if you need the Senate to deliver you votes or bills or whatever, if you need the Senate to work to get your agenda through, then Rick Scott's going to work very well with Donald Trump to make sure that happens. John Thune, John Cornyn, maybe not so much, because they're going to be carrying on the legacy of Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell put them where they are, and Donald Trump did not. So they are, of course, loyal to the guy that brought them. That's Lisa Murkowski, same thing. There's another name. I heard Rand Paul thrown in the mix, and Rand Paul would be great, but I don't know that he has the support to get to pass the vote. Rick Scott last time made a play for it, and he got 10 votes. So if Rick Scott can go in there and make an even bigger play, and if John Cornyn and John Thune split the Mitch McConnell acolytes, there's a really good shot that we could have Rick Scott as president. But it's really, I'm going to be honest with you, this has really caused there's a very interesting alliance, because Rick Scott is going on Laura Loomer's show, and he's doing an interview with her, or did an interview. Rick Scott appears on Laura Loomer's podcast a week before Election Day. And she is a very, as you know, we've talked to her before, she's a very notorious figure in politics. But I feel like Rick Scott going on Laura Loomer's show not only gives him kind of a PR advantage, but may also dictate the kind of terms that he's on, because you know who else Laura Loomer is very tight with? President Donald Trump. So there's a lot that has to happen on Tuesday. Donald Trump's got to win the White House. The Senate has to turn red. The House of Representatives has to stay red. And then we've got to get MAGA conservative senators into positions of power. And in my humble opinion, and I'm not just saying it because I'm from Florida, that person is Rick Scott. So anyway, that's what we're looking toward in the next few days. If you would like to join us, again, Sneakers Sports Grill in Jacksonville Beach is where we're going to be, and we're going to be partying hard, and we want every single liberty, love, and freedom defending patriot who can come and party with us to come and party with us. If you can't be there live, be there online. We will be broadcasting live on Rumble, on Facebook, on X. We will be everywhere all the time, just like we usually are. And we want you to join us, because it's going to be a historic night, a monumental night. And I feel confident. I know what they're telling you about the extended election returns. I know what they're telling you about not getting your hopes up. We may not know election night. I have faith. I have faith. I believe that there are enough people that see the truth. There are enough people that know what the option is. There are enough people that know that Donald Trump is the way forward. There are enough people that love America and are willing to break with their old ideology to embrace a new future that is better for them and their families and their finances and their posterity and their legacy and this country. I believe there's enough of those people in enough states. They've seen and heard what Donald Trump has said. They've gone to his rallies. They've watched him on TV. More importantly, they've seen and heard what Kamala Harris said, and they know that it's kind of empty and vapid and there's no real plan, and that it's just 3.5 more years of what we've already experienced, which is something that none of us like. And that's why the movement is headed to the right. And I believe there's enough of those people in enough states to give Donald Trump enough of an electoral advantage on November the 5th, so that when we all go to bed, we will know who the next president is. We will know that all of our hard work pulled off, all of our hard work paid off. we will know that we did what we came here to do. And that is install a leader who works for us. Install a leader who works under the auspices and the rules of the Constitution of the United States of America. Install a leader who wants government out of our lives and wants to give us all the tools that we need so that we can build the best lives possible, as was promised by God and the Founding Fathers. In short, we will have voted in and elected a leader who will help all of us save the Republic. Don't forget to subscribe for more information, more live broadcasts, more videos, and more fun. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.